Hey everyone, today I'm playing with our hills around here are just completely getting covered with grasses and beautiful flowers. So I thought I would paint some of that today and share some of the techniques that I use for texture and grasses and flowers and things. So first off, I am using my favorite, my 8 Velvetouch round brush, Princeton. I love the short handle. It feels really soft and velvety, and it just has been a great brush for me. I've used for years. I keep close to me always my 6 long round just because it's a little bit longer. I sometimes feel I can get a little bit more detail. And then I've got a very thin brush. This one's actually by Zen Art. I bought last year in a whole set. And I'm going to also use, they have a little palette in their set, a palette knife, and I'm going to use that to scrape. But you can scrape, many times I just reach for an old credit card and use that as well. Feel free to use your Degado brushes. Where is my Degado brush? Here it is. So if you have purchased this as a student, I think these are great. I've had these for a year. Look at that beautiful point it's still got. And I use these all the time. I even use these with my gouache, and I'm just truly shocked by the price tag. I think it's under $15 for 10, and how well it's done. So, and I have searched everywhere. I have used every paper, every paint, every brush for my students. So these Degados are really great, and you get a whole set of 10. I am working with my Artisto paper in here. I just started this book and I named it Spring 2024. This is, just can't say enough. If you don't want to hear about my supplies, please fast forward. But I think this is important because I searched for so long. This is a great texture paper. It does great with wet on wet, like this application here. And it's also perforated. So if you want to tear one out and gift it to somebody, you can. And I just love, I've got tons of these cataloged in my art studio here. This one, like I said, is Spring 2024. I've got them named Winter. I've got, if you saw my short the other day, all of my fun little color mixes and swatches. So handy. I'm using my Mylang palette. Great, again, for a student. Look at all these wonderful colors they give you. You don't have to worry about mixing. As a beginner, you don't want to have to deal with that. Or if you're like me, I've been painting for 50 years and I'm just a lazy painter. I just want to be able to go into my studio, open my paints, and they're all there. Really rich and creamy and thick, and they have this beautiful vibrancy, but yet can be very transparent. And I just love their colors. So can't say enough about those couple supplies. And I'm so thrilled that I have been using all of these for at least a year, and they've just worked out really great. So I already activated my paints. I just gave them a little spritz here. Let's see. I've got, which actually, this looks dirtier than it is. It's not bad. I've got my wash and rinse palette, and I love my ceramic 2-well palette. Really important with watercolors that you wash and rinse your brush because it's so translucent. If I'm using a bright red and I go into a yellow, it's very possible I could carry over some of that pigment. So really make sure you both wash and rinse your brush. And then lastly, I've just got a little towel here to tap on, just to dry off my brush. What I wanted to share with you today is I'm just loading my brush here with I tend to use, you probably have your greens you like in the Mylang palette, and actually Winsor Newton too, which I can't afford to paint with every day, folks. I use an olive green with a little bit of, I think in the Mylang palette, it's called Tree Green, and Winsor Newton, it may be a sap green, but choose your own greens. Like, figure out what greens are your go-to. Let me move this over so you can see that. So those are mine. I kind of mix them, and I use them both. What I'm going to start with here is I'm going to show you the techniques that, and I wanted to play with them myself this morning, the techniques I use for just creating some texture in a field of flowers. And what I'm going to do first here is just use my 8 round. And because I want to show you texture and things, I'm going to use quite a dark background and just kind of create this field here of different colors and making it quite dark so that my scratching and all the things I want to show you show up pretty well. I'm even going to add in some of that golden color. So beautiful. I just love these colors together. So pretty. So just keep going here, adding in my greens. Like I said, I'm working with kind of a dark color, which, you know, I talk about all the time, like go first with your lights. You know, always start with your lightest value because you can always build up. But in this case, I'm actually starting with my dark values because I want you to be able to see what I do here. And it'll show up a lot more on a darker background. So this is just kind of like the hills, a field, I guess. And now I'm going to go in and start doing some of my textures and things. This would be really pretty on a little card, by the way. So wash and rinse my brush. I can tell the paint's out of my brush, which you want to make sure before you go into your other color because my paper towel is clear. So that's what I want. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you. So I do a scratching whenever I do fields. And something to keep in mind is if I scratch now, which I'm going to show you, it's going to turn more of a black color because I'm in essence, I'm kind of bruising the paper. And this is what happens. So it turns white for a second. Sorry, my hand is covering there. But it does end up turning dark. So hopefully you can see that. It's dark color. And again, you can use a credit card. Goodness, can't grab my credit card here. Same technique. Actually, the credit card can get a little bit thinner lines. But see how they're all turning more of a black color, okay? Because I'm kind of damaging the paper. I'm kind of bruising the paper. Now, if I let that dry, it's going to be more of a white when I scratch out. What I want to do next before this gets too much drier is I'm just going to take my 8 Velvetouch round, put some clean water in it, and I'm going to just sprinkle clean water here. And what this does, you can see it there. It's creating those wonderful blooms that sometimes we don't want, but in this case, I wanted them. And it just gives that kind of that illusion of some flowers in the background, which is what I wanted. I'm going to give this just a shot. You can use your blow dryer or a heat iron like me. Just give it a tiny shot here to get it dry. And look at all these beautiful blooms. I really try to use techniques that let the watercolors kind of do their thing and work with that. So here's a little tissue. I'm just going to do a little bit of lifting up in those areas. And this kind of creates some real interesting little light spots like that. So this is considered like a lifting. And now I've got all these fun light values that pull you into my painting. I've got dark values. What I want to do now before this gets too dry is just go in with a little bit of, let's use our cad yellow. here. There we go. Our poppies are starting to come out and they're just fantastic. And I'm going to sprinkle that in. You can just sprinkle with your finger, but tapping it on your finger, but I seem to find it works a little bit better. And I really try to use as vibrant a color as I can, as dark of value, because I want it to really pop. So it is still a little damp, so it's blending in the background there. And as it dries, I'm going to do more of that. And the drier it is, the more that's going to show up. The other thing I'm going to do right now is, let's see if it's dry enough for me to scratch. Yes. So now that it's drier, my scratching is, just give it a quick shot here. My scratching is turning white. I hope you can see that. Versus dark. Now, if your paint's too dry, it's not going to do much. So you can see some areas here, and I'm kind of exaggerating this. I don't know if I would use quite this much normally, but I'm kind of exaggerating because I want you to see the technique. And there you go. Now, because this is a little bit drier, I'm going to go in with, let's go in with, I think I'm actually feeling, I want to use this white gouache. I typically will use the white titanium. This one I have here. I like the titanium white because it seems to be more opaque. And this is the Mission gouache. I have a whole set of these I got on Amazon. And I'm going to, again, just tapping some of that in. Look how pretty. It's like walking into a field of white daisies, isn't it? And what's really beautiful, I try to use the qualities of watercolor as often as I can. So by the way, I just washed and rinsed my brush. My brush is clean. What's wonderful is some areas were wetter than others. So some areas came out more hard edges, others came out more of a washy color. I might even go in there with, let's try, because we have poppies, let's try a bit of orange. They are bright orange, and you guys, they just cover the hills here. So I'm going to add in some of that too. Now, again, I'm exaggerating all of this a little so that you can see it. Look at that. This is exactly what our hills look like, you guys. I'm not kidding. It is just heavenly. And we get these like patches where it just looks like a carpet of them. It's so beautiful. So there's some orange. Now, as this continues to dry, I'm going to grab, you could either use your 6 long or some type of thin brush. I've also got this little, love this company. I bought these last year from Zen Art. This is the one I've shared with you before. It comes in that beautiful kind of bonus to me, this bamboo cover. And I use this to travel with. I put all my brushes. They filled this with their own brushes, but you know, I kind of take it and use it when I travel. And this was one of the brushes in there. This was a brush in there. This one, it's a really beautiful set. Okay, back to this. Now what I'm going to do in there, I mean, this alone could be beautiful. I'm going to go in and just grab some of that olive green, mix it with some of this brown. You can use sienna or whatever brown, really, just to darken that up. And I'm going to go in with some kind of little flicks, okay? Just in the front here. Really, I could use, number one, a little bit more green, but even a thinner brush. Matter of fact, hold on, let's play with the 6 long round. I think that might have a little smaller point. And let's just go in. I want it to be greener, not quite that. There we go, that's what I wanted. And don't get too fussy here. Just add in some little stems and things that look like it's in the front. Now again, I'm kind of using a lot of these techniques in this painting. You might normally only use a couple. So I just wanted to show you all of them, but look at how nice that is. And now the last thing I will do to add some texture and interest in here is I'm gonna give this another shot and just dry it a bit. You can use a blow dryer as well. I'm using this heat tool, but a blow dryer works just as well. And look at all the interest in here that the watercolors did that for me. And that's how I love working with watercolors, just kind of letting the watercolors do their thing. Now I will know this is dry because the paper will flatten out. And that's probably good enough. It would continue flattening out as it dries more. And now what I want to do, 2 ways to do this. I can either go in with my little brush, just go in and pick up that wonderful white gouache and just tap in here. Now these are kind of some bigger flowers I'm making, so let me just get that point back and just make little dots. You could even sprinkle again, you know, splatter. Like that. Oh, I love it. It's kind of harder to splatter when I'm using thicker paint. Got to really hit it. And I'll put a few in on the other side over here, just little dots. Maybe do some little splattering. Oops, sorry about that. Hit the camera. Look at how fun that is. Isn't that wonderful? Another way you could add in some of that is to use a little sea sponge. Now, this is really a lot of stuff going on here, guys. I still love it, but you know, I'm showing you a lot of different things. Let's try some of this yellow. I'm going to grab a little more off my palette, and you could use this to go in. Now it's not showing up a whole lot. Let me get some more here. Hold on, sorry for the arm. Just going to tap that in there, and I want it to be kind of dry because I want it to show up. So that yellow isn't showing up a whole lot, but let's try this white. Yeah, there we go. And there you go. I think I will just stop right there. So I hope this was kind of fun for you, a fun little way to add in you know, little flowers and texture and stems, and using the qualities and the magic that is watercolor to do these things for you. So you don't have to go in and color in every little tiny detail. You just let watercolors do their thing. And look at how beautiful what they will give you. So I hope that was helpful. I will dig up all my links. I'll put them in the bottom. And thanks for joining me here. I hope this was fun for you. And happy spring. I think today's the first day of spring, if I remember right. All right, everybody, I'll see you soon. Bye.